Sometimes you run across a piece of equipment that you've never seen before. I've actually seen this piece of equipment, but I bet a lot of you haven't because it's brand new to the market. And fortunately, I'm here with an expert today. We're going to learn all about a brand new lawnmower. This is Jeremy, and he is with Exmark, and we're going to take a look at a brand new mower that just hit the market. So here it is. This is the Exmark Turf Tracer, and this thing is fully autonomous. And so what we're going to do is take a little tour around the mower, learn all about it, and then of course I've got questions that I'm hoping are the same questions you have that are watching. So we're going to learn everything we can learn about this and what it means for our industry. So Jeremy, thanks for being here. We're actually at the Lawn Care Life Conference, or a day before it starts, but thanks for being a part of the show here and for bringing the mower down. Y'all got a really cool trailer too. So Jeremy's he is actually the product manager that supports this piece of equipment. So we got the right guy to talk to. I guess, Jeremy, if I'm seeing this thing for the first time, and we saw it running, and you can see it on the video as we're talking, but you were telling me off camera here, like people get intimidated a little bit when they see this, and because it's new. What do you tell them to try to calm their nerves a little bit when they first meet this mower?
It's still a zero-turn lawnmower. It still has manual controls, so that's the trick, right? We tried to make it as easy as we could to train it, to operate it. So you do it all from the controls here, like a regular zero-turn. So it's got a key switch, a PTO switch, a throttle cable, and zero-turn controls like a regular mower. And then for the autonomous side, you just push the record button and drive around the area of turf that you want it to mow autonomously. And if there's exclusion zones, you drive around those and then flip it to autonomous mode and hit go. And it'll map out the area for you and take off and mow it. And then that stays stored on the server. So when you come back the second week, you don't even have to record the boundary. You just pull the mower out into the patch of turf that you want mowed and hit go. Really simple. So that intimidation, there's a lot of technology on board, but we've worked on making that as easy to use as you can make it.
That brought up one question. So you said you can trace out the yard. How do you trace out the yard? Is that with you standing on it, or you do it on your phone, or how do you trace it out the first time?
We do that just by driving the mower. So in manual mode, you just hit the record button, and then you manually drive the mower with the deck running or with the deck shut off, either way. So with the deck shut off, you can do it in the off season when you're not so busy, that kind of thing. But you drive around the outside perimeter of the parcel of turf you want to mow, or the property, and then when you get back to where you started, you confirm that, and then you can drive over, if there's trees or flower beds, buildings out in that area of turf, you can drive around those and record those as keep out zones, and then it'll store that for you.
But if somebody's using this for a business, you said it'll store multiple lawns. How many lawns can you memorize for this machine?
There's no limit to the number of lawns or the size of the lawns that you record, the number of users that you have on your account, that kind of thing. So we're storing that on the server, so that storage space comes along with the subscription for the mower.
How does it know I'm on lawn X and not lawn Y? And so it's going to do the right pattern for the lawn it's on.
It's using GNSS or GPS with RTK, so the machine knows where it is, it knows which direction it's pointed. That's how we determine the striping direction that you intend. The direction you point the mower when you pull it on the turf is the direction that we think you want to stripe it, so that's the pattern that we load.
All right, I try to answer questions, or I guess see the questions ahead of time. And then one thing I feel like people are going to say, because I've read my own comments on the YouTube videos sometimes, or not my own comments, but other people's comments. But they say, hey, this autonomous equipment is putting us out of business. Is this designed to replace the landscaper, or is this something that's a tool in their toolbox, or how do you go about that?
This is another tool in the toolbox. It's a great way to put it. It extends your capability, right? You can leverage the resources that you have available to get more done in a day. This isn't going to mow all of the turf that you mow today. We still require a manual trim pass to go around the edges and around the exclusion zones, steeper slopes. Some of those kinds of things are areas that you're still going to want to mow manually, but this is a great way for larger properties to extend the productivity of the resources that you have.
Can you talk about the price of it, and then how do y'all think about like return on investment for a lawn guy who might be used to paying a certain dollar amount, and obviously this is going to be more. Obviously you're talking about saving some labor costs there, so how do you think about return on investment for a piece of equipment like this?
Absolutely. So the list price for this mower is $59,999, and there's an annual subscription, right? That's $2,100 a year is the current price for that subscription. With manual mowing with a 60-inch zero turn, we think about 3/4 of the investment to mow a property is in the labor expense, and about 1/4 of that investment is in the equipment. Autonomous kind of flips that, so about 3/4 of the investment is in the machine, the fuel, that sort of thing, and it reduces the labor cost to be in about 25%. Overall, we think autonomous mowing on good autonomous capable turf is about 10% less expensive than manual mowing. That's where this machine can really help out, is in those areas, like I said, that are not very steep for slopes, that aren't very complicated but take a lot of time, manual mowing. So you can take those labor resources and reallocate those to doing the more intricate work, edging flower beds, trimming hedges, doing things that typically take a lot of time but really make that property look very well kept, provide a lot of customer satisfaction. So those are the areas where you can reallocate those labor resources to improve your customer retention.
And we don't know exactly what the future looks like, but is this, obviously the autonomous has made leaps and bounds in the industry in the past decade. Is this something we think is going to continue to like creep in more and more? I say creep in, I don't mean that in a negative way, but are we going to continue to see more and more autonomous stuff replacing manual driven lawnmowers? Is that kind of the way you see it going?
I think so. It's a small part of the market today, and I think as technology improves, as we invest in applying that technology into our industry, it's going to continue to grow over time. As we learn how to deploy these machines more effectively, some of that takes time and experience, and I think that will grow the adoption. We'll find places where they do really well and exploit the technology there where it makes sense.
Now I know it's new, but is there dealer support for, say if I bought this thing tomorrow, is there dealer support for this today, or what? How are the dealers going to support? I guess they know how to work on a lawnmower, but is the autonomous side of it, how do you get support for that?
Yep, Exmark supports the whole thing, right? There's one warranty, there's one customer support line. It's the same customer support that we provide for all the rest of our equipment. That autonomous system is included. That's part of the benefit of us developing this in-house, integrating it into the machine. The safety system with the ground drive, the cutting deck, that's all integrated into the machine. That's not an add-on after the fact, you might say. So the whole machine has been thought out with that in mind. The service and support systems as well. All of the parts are available through the dealers. That relationship that the customer already has with the dealer is the same relationship that they'll lean on to get support for this autonomous unit.
Let's say I'm cutting a yard. It's got it memorized, one of the yards, and the kid left his bicycle in the backyard. Like, how does it recognize obstacles that aren't, obviously you can like map out the swimming pool, but let's say there's a new obstacle like the bicycle. What does it do in that situation?
For small twigs and things, we're going to mow over those. For larger obstacles, we do detect those with our radar system. So that system is tuned for people. It's a safety certified system, so we're very focused on that from a safety perspective, but there are other large obstacles that it will detect as well.
All right, I think what I need to do now is just watch the thing work. So what we're going to do, I'm going to let Jeremy do it. He's going to drive this thing, trace out a pattern, and then I want to see it mow the pattern, because I just want to see what I like about it. I've seen this before, but I saw it on a cool season lawn, but it makes perfect stripes, because you can imagine even the best stripers on YouTube and everything, they're not perfect stripes, where this thing does make perfectly straight lines because of the technology there. So anyway, we're going to give it a test run and show you what it looks like in action. So he's tracing out the pattern right now. When he gets done tracing it out, then he comes back. It's memorizing it, so he comes back, then he can set it and it'll just run. on its own. And what I like, memorize. It's not like you got to trace out every time. This is just a new property, so it's going to memorize it, and then you could have it programmed where it would run this same route every single time. That is a good question. It makes me wonder, will it change up the cutting pattern? I want to ask you now, I wonder if it'll change up the cutting pattern, if you can make it do like diagonal one way, next week diagonal the other way, and different stripes. Okay, so he kind of answered my question right there. He said he's gonna point it the direction he wants it to stripe. So it's kind of like he gets it out here and just points it sort of in the direction he wants it to go, and then it does it after that. That's pretty cool. So if he pointed at a different angle, I might ask him about that just to clarify, but that sounds like what he was saying. So Jeremy, you mentioned something there that caught my attention. When you said, I was actually thinking when you were driving, I was like, is it got the same exact stripe pattern every time? But to explain that, you said something about you kind of get it aimed the way you want it to go, and then so how does that work?
Yep. So when you get done recording, the screen walks you through the instruction process, but you pull the mower out into the turf that you want mowed. When you do the recording, you point it the exact direction that you want the property striped. And then we record that, and then we've got plus or minus 90 degrees and plus or minus 45. So you get 4 striping angles that are then pre-programmed. So when you come back the second week, you can pull the mower out into the grass and point it any way you want. Okay. And it will pick the one of those 4 that's the closest to how you parked it.
Oh, wow.
And load it and mow it. So when it runs, the striping pattern that's closest to north-south, it's going to run that pattern exactly the same way every time you run it. So you get to train the grass and get that striping pattern kind of memorized into that grass. So then if you want to do a crosshatch every other week, or you want to use all 4 of them, if you've got an area that's prone to rutting or something like that, that way you only repeat that mowing pattern once every 4 mowings.
Yeah, I know, people make fun of us with our dormant warm season grass that doesn't stripe here. But in the cool season line, though, sometimes to get the really good stripe, this is what people tell me now. I've never striped the lawn in my life, I don't think. But you got to go over it multiple times, or maybe they do different directions. So I can see where there'd be advantages of that, because they'll lower the deck and do different things to make it really look striped. So I'm sure y'all got some impressive stripe work out there at the X-Mark headquarters with this thing.
Yep, and we do have a striping kit available for it as well to give it that extra pop.
Now, one time, just a while ago, I was driving and it stopped and it made a beep. What do you think it did?
Yep, so if something gets too close to the machine, it'll stop and it beeps when it shuts the deck off. If it's a leaf flying by or something like that, when it clears, it'll start itself back up and continue to mow.
Okay.
If that's a person or something like that continues to get closer to the mower after it stops, then it'll shut the engine down and put the machine in a safe state with go.
Now it's like coming halfway to us. Why is it not coming all the way back up here to us?
Because I didn't get the stripe straight, so it's coming. It's getting close to the edge and turning around and going back. When it's done with the long straight stripes in the middle, then it'll go twice around the outer boundary and clean up the little triangles from the turns and that kind of thing.
Okay. That was pretty cool. I'm so glad we got Jeremy on here to show us the mower and get a first-hand look from a true expert, show you how it works, and hopefully answer a lot of your questions. If you got any more questions about it, leave them in the comments. Maybe somebody will chime on here and answer. If you hadn't done so, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next video.